Hear ye, I bring word of good games today. Guys, let me level with you here for a second. I've never been a big Yoshi guy. I grew up playing various Yoshi games throughout my life. Not that there are like a ton of Yoshi games, but I had Yoshi's Island on the Game Boy Advance. That was like a big one from my childhood, and I liked it. Played a little bit of Yoshi's Story, and then a bit later on in life, you know, I played some Woolly World and some Crafted World. But you know, I never really got super into these games. They were just alright. So when Yoshi's Funny Book got revealed in the September Direct last year, I kind of immediately wrote it off. Visually, it looked impressive. I really liked the animation, I liked the art style, like all of that stuff, it was nice. But you know, presentation alone can't carry a game for me. I gotta be invested in the gameplay. And I just haven't ever been super smitten by Yoshi games and their gameplay in the past. So I was quick to write this one off, you know. But you know, as the months progressed and we started to get fed a little bit more information about this game, we got to see a little bit more about what it was gonna be about. I started to change my tune a little bit. This didn't really look like it was gonna be your typical kind of Yoshi game, you know. It wasn't really another iteration of the Yoshi's Island style. It was something else. So you know, in the weeks leading up to its release, I kind of started to get a little bit cautiously excited for this game. I was just kind of feeling something about it, you know? I'm looking at it like, this might be a fun little, cozy little platformer type game for me to get into. Let's find out. And so that's what we're here to yap about today. We're gonna talk about Yoshi's and the Funny Book. Yoshi's and the Funny Book. That's what I said, we're keeping it. Before we jump into it, if you could, hit that like button and subscribe, because, well, that's it, because I refuse to elaborate. You're gonna have to discover the reasoning, like Yoshi discovering the creatures in the Funny Book. Yeah. So I do just want to slide this in here real quick too before I start talking about the game. A couple of months back, I replayed Yoshi's Woolly World. That was a game I never finished on the Wii U. It was right around the time that Batman Arkham Knight was coming out, and I know I was way more interested and excited for that game than I was for Yoshi, so I just for some reason didn't end up finishing Yoshi. And I am glad that I went back to replay it, because I've only ever heard good things about Woolly World over the years. Like people have been telling me that this is like one of the top shelf, you know, Yoshi games, and I gotta agree, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed myself with it. So that also kind of contributed to my excitement a little bit for Yoshi's Funny Book. I was feeling like, okay, maybe I do have a little bit of a Yoshi love inside of me. That sounds bad. And then when the reviews started to trickle out, I mean, there were a decent amount of positive scores about the game, but there were a handful that were maybe not quite so positive on this one. And I did give at least one of them a listen, and I could tell immediately that it seemed to me they weren't going into it with a very open mindset. They kind of went into it hoping and expecting it for it to be essentially another Yoshi's Island. But if you paid attention to the pre-release trailers and marketing stuff, I think it was fairly apparent that that's not what Yoshi's Funny Book was going for. So that didn't deter me at all in the slightest. I still went into Walmart day one to pick this thing up. I initially had it pre-ordered through Walmart so I could get it cheaper, but I kept getting spammed with texts from them, telling me my order was gonna be delayed and this and that my payment information was wrong or something. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, fuck it. Just fuck it. I'm canceling this. I'll just go pick it up myself. I had a Walmart gift card, so fuck it, whatever. But guys, literally, I mean, just after the first 2 levels alone here, I was immediately captivated by this game. Yoshi's Funny Book has just completely knocked my socks off and really surprised me. I don't want to make it sound like this is the greatest game ever or anything, but I'm really, really loving Yoshi's Funny Book. So the whole thing of it, right, is that there's this funny book and he lands on Yoshi's Island because Bowser Jr. takes it there for some reason. I actually don't know what the context was for that. Bowser Jr.'s snooping through some stuff in Bowser's castle, I assume, and then he decides, this is a pretty cool book. Let's go bring it to Yoshi's Island. And so the book, you know, he gets into the hands of the Yoshis and he says to them, "Hello, my funny little friends. There's many mysterious things inside of me. please, diagnose me. Climb inside of my pages and tell me what's wrong. And so then it's up to the Yoshis to make all kinds of discoveries about the various creatures that are in each of the chapters inside of this funny little book. Like I already expressed, this is not your typical Yoshi platformer kind of game. It is technically a platformer, but it's much more akin to like a puzzle platformer than like, you know, an A to B kind of platformer challenge type game. And it's very unique. I don't think there's really anything else out there quite like it. You get dropped into these admittedly very small levels, but they are insanely densely packed. You basically like pick creatures from the chapter pages that you want to go and make discoveries about, and so you jump into the level, and then that's kind of what the whole level is themed around, like this individual creature, and it's up to you to kind of like make all sorts of discoveries about, well, just about what they do, their quirks, and there's a crap ton to discover. Like, let me just put this out there. As a completer man myself, you know, a funny little completer man, this game is gonna be a nightmare to 100%. I don't know if I'm gonna quite do that, but at least as of this moment, I am definitely interested in going back to try to like do some cleanup, you know, make some more discoveries about a bunch of the creatures that I already have. But that being said, I have been just kind of taking my time in each of these levels, trying to make as many discoveries as I possibly can about each individual creature. So like, for instance, you know, in the first, I think it's the first level, you're making discoveries about these flowers, right? You discover that you can eat them, you can pick them up, you can throw them. When you run past bushes with flowers that aren't blooming, it makes the flowers bloom. You can feed it different types of food to change its color, which then changes the types of flowers that bloom. It's things like that, except multiplied by hundreds, maybe thousands, because there's tons of different creatures with tons and tons of different mechanics and quirks and all that kind of stuff across these various levels. Goddamn. Holy moly, goddamn. Again, the levels are small, but they're densely packed. The way I've been describing them to like people around me is that they almost feel like little playgrounds. Playgrounds for discovery, and I love that about it. It makes wanting to go back into these levels to make more discoveries about the creatures within them a whole lot more enticing, because it's not like you're going through these big long levels where, you know, there's a very specific thing that you have to try to find and do, and if you miss it, that's over, and then then you have to go back in and play it again. I feel like that feels like a very specific example, and I don't even know what I'm trying to refer to off the top of my head. I guess I'm thinking about Yoshi's Woolly World, maybe, because that's like the most recent Yoshi game that I've played. One of the big, I don't know, I guess, critiques or controversies that I have heard about this game is that, like, well, you don't take damage. This is a baby game. And, like, yeah, there's no denying that, like, a younger audience, there's a decent chance that that's what this game is kind of skewed towards. But I don't mind this at all. I don't mind not having to take damage in this game because, again, it's more of like a puzzle platformer kind of game where you're meant to sort of, you know, be able to relax and explore and kind of discover things at your own pace. I spent, like, dude, more often than not, there were levels that I would spend like a half hour plus in just like jumping around, messing around, trying to make all kinds of discoveries. It's incredibly fun. It's just good, cozy fun. There's about 5 different creatures per chapter for you to jump into levels and make discoveries about them. Which, that doesn't necessarily sound like a ton just describing it to you. There's 5 creatures per chapter, so 5 levels per chapter. But like I said, these levels are very, very dense. Tons of like little secrets and hideouts and all that kind of stuff. And well, okay, so full transparency, I haven't completed the game just yet. I'm like a decent chunk of the way in. I felt like I had enough to get on here and kind of yap about it a bit, so that's why I'm here doing that. But there are the flowers that you collect in like every platformer Yoshi type game, and I haven't really discovered what they're used for yet, to be honest. There's anywhere from like 3 to like, I don't know, 6 of them per level. There were a lot of times where I felt like I spent, you know, a significant chunk of time there exploring the level only to come out and realize like, dude, I didn't even get all the flowers. I'm missing like 1 or 2 of them. So I still have a reason to go back and replay some of those levels that I already spent a bunch of time in. I guess depending on who you are, that might sound like a negative. To me, that's just I don't know, that's fine by me. Again, I just kind of love how cozy it is, and I like playing these levels, so I'm totally down to go back in and spend some more time in some of these ones. This may qualify as like somewhat of a spoiler, so just mild spoiler alert if you haven't gotten past chapter 6. So in chapter 6, there's a boss fight against Bowser Jr. And after the boss fight, I got a credits roll. I thought that was like, you know, basically the end of the game. And I was feeling pretty satisfied at that point. I'm like, that was fun. That was a cute and cozy little game. And then I realized like, oh, it's not done yet. A whole new set of chapters unlocked. There's like 4 more chapters. And I think there may even be 2 additional chapters beyond them just based on how they're laid out on the pages. So the game basically doubled in size after I thought it was done. I'm like, oh my god, okay, I am not gonna beat this game in the amount of time that I wanted to make this video. It's that dense. I feel like that's the best way I could describe this game. It's dense. If you really want to, you know, put the time in and invest into making all kinds of discoveries, you know. Realistically, I guess you probably could beat the game pretty quickly because there is one major objective per level that you have to complete to essentially like, well, just complete the level, you know? And once you make that discovery, you can either choose to exit and, you know, end your exploration there or continue to explore. And more often than not, I just chose to continue exploring because I could think of different things that I hadn't accomplished yet. And I'm like, okay, I know I can do this and that and this and that. And I would just end up spending just tons of time in each individual level because I was just having that much fun doing it. But yeah, realistically, you could end your exploration pretty quick. You probably could just blast through this game if you didn't engage with it on the same kind of level that I am. I've already put like, you know, somewhere between 10 and 15 hours into the game. And I still have like basically a whole half of the game left to play. So yeah, there's a decent amount of meat on these bones, on these Yoshi bones, in this Yoshi book. I will say one kind of area where the game maybe has a little bit of a weak spot is when it comes to the soundtrack. There are some okay tracks in here, but like a lot of it is like pretty forgettable compared to some other Yoshi games. I mean, Yoshi's Island is obviously iconic with its soundtrack. Yoshi's Woolly World has a phenomenal soundtrack. A lot of other Yoshi games have been kind of hit or miss. This one's kind of somewhere in the middle. I wouldn't say it exactly hits, but it's not as like horrendous as Yoshi's New Island or anything like that. So kind of somewhere, you know, just it's fine, I guess. Speaking of boss fights, there are technically boss fights if you want to put it like that. Kamek and Bowser Jr. are going through this world because they're trying to find some kind of bird. There's this bird thing that they want to find for, I don't know, some reason. I think maybe it's in there somewhere why they want it, but yeah, they want a bird. And so at the end of each chapter, there's like kind of like one big creature that you discover that you kind of have to utilize to beat up Bowser Jr. and Kamek, you know? Now it's interesting because like you can't take damage, so I mean, yeah, they're pretty easy. Like that's kind of the whole thing of it. But I will at least give it this. There is some creativity behind some of these boss fights. You know, it's not just like beat them up and then that's it. Although, I mean, it is kind of like that for a lot of them. But I don't know, some of them get a little bit more creative than that. Like there's this one level where there's this big green giant guy and he sucks Yoshi up and like spits you out. And in his boss fight in particular, Bowser Jr. is like trapped in this temple and you have to break it apart by having this big guy spit you out at it. So it's not really like a boss fight, but it is just, I don't know, it's like an objective to do and complete. So I don't know, there's at least some creative ideas on display there, you know. Guys, I think I'm getting down to the end of anything that I have to say about this game. I forgot to mention this in my initial recording, so sorry if this feels unnaturally stuffed in here, like putting a square through the circle hole. One aspect of Yoshi's Funny Book that I found particularly very funny is that you can actually name the creatures that you discover. I had a lot of fun just coming up with like weird, stupid names for these guys. Oftentimes I would try to name them something that, well, let's just say, couldn't make it past the censors, because there are censors, even though this isn't an online game, so it's not like you can, you know, upload the names that you've crafted for these creatures, but I guess it is a game skewed more on the younger side, so I don't know, I guess they didn't want little Timmy naming these guys like Buttfuckus or anything like that, but goddamn, it didn't stop me from trying. I was cracking myself up with some of these. It's just there's this exploding nut guy who I named very aptly, should I put, Bust-A-Nut, and then on the discovery pages, well, let's just let them speak for themselves here. Bust-A-Nut won't explode when muddy. Even the little ones can explode after enough tumbles. A wee Bust-A-Nut tumbled into a hole. The wee Bust-A-Nut explodes with stimulus. I'm 12. Don't laugh. So yeah, I don't know, I just found that very funny. I enjoyed naming these little guys, even the ones that I didn't name dumb shit like that. Okay, back to whatever else I was saying. Yoshi's funny book, it surprised me. I'm excited to get back into it and work my way through the rest of it. I was not expecting to enjoy this game as much as I have been. If I'm being totally real, totally open and honest with you guys here, I think this might be my new favorite Yoshi game. Keep in mind, like I said, I've never been like the biggest Yoshi guy. You know, some of the previous Yoshi games, they're alright to me, but this one is landing in like a whole different way for me. It's much more, again, of like a puzzle platformer kind of thing, where you can kind of take your time, it's just chill vibes. This is the kind of game that I think my wife would be really into. I've been talking it up to her, and she's pretty excited to like try it out now. So yeah, I mean, well, I think that's just about it. For as much as I've been enjoying Nintendo's offerings this year so far, of the ones that I have played that I really didn't have high expectations for going into them, I definitely think I'm getting to a point where I'm like, okay, alright, hey, let's bring on some of the more core gamer, you know, type of games for me, Nintendo. I've given plenty of your games a try. I've given them a fair shot, a fair shake. Games that I wouldn't ordinarily be super into, I'm finding that, hey, this is pretty good. But I'm ready for some gamer games. Let's get 3D Mario. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Let's make 500 videos about that. I'm not even necessarily just talking about Mario. That would be cool. Let's get a Smash Bros. Let's get a Zelda. Let's get an F-Zero. A Wario Land. Yeah. A new 3D Kirby. Yeah. Bring my games. Bring my games. Donkey Kong. Yeah. We just got Donkey Kong last year. I'm gonna keep begging for it. You can't stop me. I guess next up, though, is Star Fox. Just Star Fox, that's what they're calling it. It's basically, it's Star Fox 64. I said my piece on that. I will say I'm at least looking forward to having a new-ish Star Fox game to play in 2026. We're about a month away from it now. Visually, it looks very nice. And Star Fox 64 is a really good game. They're super solid, so I am looking forward to that. Hopefully, we'll have a Nintendo Direct sometime in the near future that can kind of just like blow the lid off of some other games that are going to be coming up for the rest of the year into early next year. That's what I'm hoping for. I guess we'll see what happens. Anyway, okay, I think I've done enough yapping now. Have you played Yoshi and the Mysterious Book? Oh god, I've just committed a cardinal sin. Yoshi's Funny Book, that's what it's called. And if you have, what do you think about it? How are you feeling? If you haven't played it, you know, do you have any interest in picking it up to try it out? As I've already kind of said, and I will say one more time, if you go into it expecting a traditional Yoshi platformer experience, I can see how you would be let down, because that's not really what you're getting here. You're getting something a lot more cozy, a lot more chill. For what it is, I'm really, really enjoying it. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I definitely want to hear from you. See what you have to say about this funny little book. Hit that like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.